Good evening and welcome to the P.S Roundtable. Today, Wrenna and I are sitting here with a really amazing and fascinating guest, and that is Tom Shelstad of Inner Expeditions. And Tom has been referred to as a youth whisperer, and really by business standards, he is a transformational facilitator. And what we want to talk to him about today is his unique insights into how we are dealing with and some ideas about how to deal with the stewarding the youth who we're handing this world to. And just exactly here in this conversation, how that fits into our concepts of solutions for creating the world that we'd like to see. And so, Tom, welcome to the roundtable. It's really an honor. I'm quite excited to have you here today. And
Yeah,
it looks like you're sitting in a van someplace. Where are you?
I'm in a van down by the river. Just kidding. No, I'm just in. Life is too important to be taken totally seriously, isn't it? Um, First, thanks for having me on. But I'm located in Ashland, Oregon at the moment.
Nice, nice. You're based out of Ashland, right?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
I know that you've traveled the world doing expeditions all over the place. I remember seeing pictures of you in the Swiss Alps. I think I've seen photographs of you in Alaska. I think there was a Denali in the background. I'm not sure, but I know that you have done things out and about for years, right? Out and
Yeah,
I
Inner Guide has been going since 2012, and we've been in 5 states and 7 countries during that time frame, which has been pretty darn fun getting out and partnering with wilderness and partnering with adventure to do this work.
it's exciting. So tell me in a nutshell, what do you do? I know that's a big and hard question, but
Yeah. Uh, well, like I just said I'll repeat it, but like I partner with wilderness and I partner with adventure, and they're they provide amazing templates and spaces and places that we get to think outside the box. Most people don't spend a lot of time out of, 4 walls and screens and, going to cars and that kind of thing. And having an experience that's significantly different from your everyday life gives a possibility of shifting. And when you drop questions in and, just the right timing and, paying attention to intuition and everything, it can be absolutely powerful and highly transformational. So the big picture of what I'm up to isn't really about adventure, though. And I think that's one of the things that's a misnomer. If this were just about adventure and going out and having a good time and being a tour guide, I would be out of this industry a really long time ago. But what I'm really up to is creating remarkably, profoundly safe containers where people, youth in some cases, adults in others, custom family trips in another way, but that they feel profoundly safe enough that they can actually maybe tiptoe into being who they actually are in witness of other people, bringing vulnerability, um, bringing who they really, really are, instead of showing up as the person that they think that they should be in order to receive, friends or a date or acceptance or a job or like whatever it is, or to keep any of those things. And when they feel that level of comfort and they start being that person, then what grows out of that, this seed is planted, and what grows out of that is a confidence that's unmatched anywhere else, and it's something that follows them for life. And so that's really what I'm up to. And again, I love adventure, so why not do it there? Why not do it someplace where people are already appropriately outside of their comfort zone, not freak out zone, but they're in their learning zone where they can start to see things a little bit different and have them away from phones and have them out long enough that there's a fighting chance for that seed to drop the little root thing and sprout.
And you do more than just backpacking trips, right? Like I've seen you do family counseling. You do one-on-one coaching, you do family coaching, you're doing more than just, and then I think you're even kind of dipping into you are a youth whisperer, but you're also a peer whisperer. Like I can speak to that, that you've really opened up my heart and, created that safe place for that seed to take root, certainly. And also to just the modeling of honesty that I've experienced with you on the trips that we've guided together is so next level. Like the level of vulnerability that you make yourself available for when you're curating these environments is the inspiration for other people to be like, oh, it's not only safe to be me, it makes me more magnetic, right? Like the more vulnerable you are, the more I want to lean in. And I want to just kind of speak to the fact that that's like those experiences of seeing other people model vulnerability, seeing other people model honesty is like a fundamental part of nervous system dysregulation, is a fundamental part of healing the like inevitable wounds that are inflicted upon our psyches in our current society and culture. And I just, so what you do to me in the framework of solutions is offer a way, a pathway, a solution to a sense of isolation, and I think it's like innate in our bodies. Like we know as humans that there's more, that we're capable of more. Like our hearts yearn for connection on such a visceral level. We know that there's something more to be experienced. And yet, at least for me, the only places where I've really been able to get that are in intentional spaces where safety is curated, and like you said, you're partnering with nature, which just like brings it out as well. So you offer a day.
Well, and it's so much more than just with youth, and so much more than backpacking. And really, aren't we all just kids at heart? Like I just turned 49, whatever, a couple of weeks ago, and I still feel like
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I still feel like roughly the same, like that part of me that is inside that is without words, like my pre-words, my everything. Like I'm still the same person. I'm still that same tender. I still have my own creaks and insecurities, and I still have my same like love and energy and zest for life. And maybe my knee hurts sometimes no. But I think that we're all basically kids at heart, and that as we grow into adults, that we just have more developed coping mechanisms, and sometimes it's harder to get through, which is one of the reasons why it's so fun to work with youth, because they're down. They more readily find a yes. And I think people have a misnomer about that, because when youth are invited into something, it's different from when they're told to do something, and they react differently around peers and with somebody who's got some flexibility and like youthful at heart and going out and doing something fun. There's positive peer pressure where they actually show up different. Like going backpacking with your family is a totally different experience from going backpacking with 9 people that you may or may not know and a couple of guides. There's a different way that they show up, and it's pretty fun. And yes, like working, I'm a coach, and I do individual work, both like in person and Zoom, and one-on-one, like week-long experiences that really dive into supporting people on an individual level who are really going through transformations in their world and transformational times. But then also like the one of my most fun things to do now is also custom family expeditions, where I take the entire family, whatever that family structure looks like, and I interview everybody who's going on the trip, talk about hopes and fears, and what are the talk about subjects and things that like they really want to get to, and what are the don't talk about subjects, which are actually the talk about subjects, but you just got to do it in the right way. And then and also, like, you know, what's one conversation that, you know, that I ask them, what's one conversation that they wish that they could have as a family that would make the biggest difference in their life and in their world together. And I take that and I weave it into a customized curriculum that's dynamic and really meeting the family where they are at and where they say they want to go, and then reading through the lines to what is it that is really needed. And I overlay that into a custom trip someplace in the world that meets their needs and their timing and their budget and interests and all the things.
Well, so without giving away your secrets to the way you weave your unique tapestry of youth whispering and all that, without giving away what you've taken so many years to develop, if someone were to come to you and say, hey, we've got an ongoing theme in our life of not being able to touch painful points without there being a big rupture or without there being a lot of like backlash in the moment, like what, you know, like throwing potential solutions for families in this space who might be listening to this, like what would you recommend first and you know, first and foremost for families who are just like, man, like I just have teenagers who, you know, and all of your specialties.
Yeah, well, first I want to address that I would love to give it all away, because we need so many people to get in and do this work to really make the difference. I'm just one human, and frankly, I want to ride my motorcycle and paraglide and do my own travels and stuff as well. Like, so I'm happy to give it all away in service.
Awesome.
And you know, the teenagers, yes, they're reactive, but so are adults. And you know, if a plant isn't doing well, like a bush, if a bush or a garden or something isn't doing well, you don't really look at the bush. I mean, you do, but you treat the soil. If the fish is sick, you don't treat the fish. You look at the water that it's swimming in and treat that. Like, you don't treat the problem. You really go for the source of it. And with all the love in the world, like, kids come from someplace. And you know what? Everybody messes their kids up. And as soon as parents like just own that, yep, they either have or they're going to mess their kids up, and really just own it, like, yep, that's going to happen. Ta-da, here's being human. And if they mess their kids up differently than how their parents messed them up, we call that progress.
Yeah.
So, you know, the parents looking at some of the different dynamics of behaviors that the kids are doing and what they're involved in, and knowing that those youth are doing their very best in the moment to get their needs met. You know, we have 4 needs: power, freedom, fun, and sense of belonging. You know, Wrenna, you spoke to that earlier, like that that sense of belonging, the community. And if you don't have a sense of belonging in a family, there's a big loss of respect. And then there's stages of development as in youth where different ways of supporting them and different ways of directing them are going to work better than others. When they're little, they obviously need more direction. And as they grow into being a teenager, the more that a parent can empower their youth to make their own choices, not being directive in their parenting and in their leadership, but being, kind of a Socratic method, if you will. I've got an acronym for, and this is one of the giveaway pieces, like, take it, run with it, do it. But it's to become a plumber as a parent, to become a plumber. And plumb, when it comes to building, is straight up and down, and it's the strongest way that you can make a building. If you make walls that are, cattywampus and everything, they're already leaning. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, that's not going to be leaning forever because it's going to fall down. So plumb is like straight up and down. It's strong, and it has some ability to be there for a while. So it's an acronym, PLUMBER. P is pause. Pause. Like, stop thinking about, like, whatever it is that you brought into the day and everything else. Like, if you're going to be with your youth about anything, pause and set aside your own judgments, because your own judgments are say more about your filter than the actual world. And it says more about your filter than what should happen in your kid's world. And the problems come when we overlay our filter onto someone else and say, no, this is how you should be. Like, yeah, they're going to push back, and they should. They're using the best tools that they can. Are they respectful? Sometimes not. That's how it is. And yeah, there are limits on that, but you can help this by following this. So you pause, set it aside, and then you go to L, which is listen. And this is a big deal, to actually listen to them, and active listening, and listening to actually understand, not listening in such a way that you are trying to see where you can put in your own idea of what ought to be, like looking for that, oh, in that case, like, you should do this. Like, no, like, just listen. Your only goal is to make them feel heard and for you to really understand. And if you don't fully understand, ask questions. And if you think you understand, then paraphrase it back to them. Don't parrot it back to them, but paraphrase it back to them in a way that has them actually feel heard around the challenge or the problem. And right there, you're building rapport. Like, the challenges around parenting and being with youth really has to do with being with rapport, or lack thereof. So pause, listen, and then understand. Really understand what's going on with them. And this is the point where, the best that you can do to take your lens or your filter out and just really understand, like, oh, and be open to understanding from a vantage point that you've never thought about before, because they're growing up in a completely different time than you did, totally different problems, totally different challenges. So just understand. And then M, meet them where they are. Not a step ahead, not a step behind, not dragging them along, but think about the metaphor of, like, sitting on a park bench, nowhere to be, nowhere to go. Like, all right, yeah, wow, damn, I get you. Whoa, I've never
I love
thought
that,
of it.
the park bench.
That's really challenging. Yeah, it's just on a park bench, like, and B then is bring inquiry. So pause, listen, understand, meet, bring inquiry, and just get curious. And again, this isn't directed questioning where you're manipulating them into doing what you want them to do. This is questions in service of deepening their understanding of their world. And as you are doing that, and as you're really asking questions of them, this is like, it's the hack. It's the place where they get to build confidence, because you, whether you are their parent or aunt, uncle, cool human, whatever it is in their life, they feel like, since you're not just telling them what to do, that you trust them to actually be able to handle their own world, because we all have our innate wisdom already in us, and we don't trust it because most people aren't given that trust from their parents. And if you as a parent can really feed that, whether they're 7 or 13 or 35, like, bring in the questions and bring in that inquiry. And then E is empower. Like, wow, like, if you've asked a bunch of questions and they're coming to some conclusions and some clarity, empower them. Like, do you need any help with this? Like, how can I support you in making the next step in whatever it is? Like, do you need support? Do you got this? And then R for plumber is repeat. If you get lost at any point, like, you can be like, I don't know. All right, pause. What's going on? Listen, wait, understand, meet, bring inquiry, empower. And it's just a cycle. And really, that's all I do in really gorgeous places in the world with incredible people who don't sometimes know that they're incredible yet, and don't sometimes know how beautiful and connected we are on a holistic basis, and that it's just theirs to say yes to.
Beautiful, Ron. Beautiful. That's really a great breakdown of how to be with somebody. Thank you for that. That was, I'm a little goosebumpy, and I don't do that much.
Yeah.
The concept of yeah, go ahead.
Oh no. And for what about for person? So like, that's such a beautiful breakdown of engagement with youth. And then, and like, when one person is interacting with another, when we are in our human bodies, extending ourselves, our awareness, our empathy towards another human, what about self? What about just that relationship with self? Do you have any fun acronyms or words for how to interact with yourself in the realms of like undoing the tendencies towards emotional isolation?
I don't have any specific metaphors, or I don't have any specific acronyms on it. But what a challenge that all of us have with that. I think that that's something that is it's a Western belief in our. I haven't met anybody that doesn't think that they need to be or become something other than who they are right now in order to be loved and accepted. And to be able to slow down and hold gratitude. I mean, so many things come from gratitude and play and connection with other people. If you're going through hell, don't stop. It's an oldie but a goodie. Don't stop there. Keep going. Come on, go.
Nice. I like great. That. That's a good one. If you're hell, don't stop.
Yeah, that's great. I'm just flashing. Yeah, go.
I was just gonna say that, to do that work, one of the things that we do on our wilderness trips, and the high school especially, we put them out on solo experiences where they get, the middle school trips, they get, day long, sun up to sundown-ish. And in high school, they get 48-hour solos. That's 2 nights out on their own in the wilderness, sitting in one spot. This isn't a roaming solo. There's one spot, we know right where they are. But the first day they go out, they just have their sleeping bag and sleeping pad and the layers that they need, and a headlamp and some bug spray and a water bottle and some snacks. That's it. And at the halfway mark, we deliver them a journal, their journal, as well as a letter from their parents, honoring them for who they are and who they're becoming, and recognizing them for the magic that they see in them. And then we as guides sit and we write a note to our own cards to the individuals, and they're written in poetry, and recognizing them for who they are, and then asking some poignant question because of who we see them showing up as. And time and time again, the people who have gone through our programs talk about their solo experiences as being profound, and being able to sit with oneself without distraction, without all of that. It's a lasting impression. And we try not to get bored in our lives. And boredom, as I like to refer to it anyway, boredom is the word that we use to describe the feeling that we get when we're not busy enough to avoid the questions that we don't want to have. I'm going to rephrase that. Boredom is the word that we use to describe the feeling that we get when we're not busy enough to avoid the feelings that we don't want to have. And we look at who are the highest paid people on the planet. Well, there's tech people, but otherwise, they're entertainers. And if we can track what we value as a culture and what we value as a humanity by where the money goes. And money goes to entertainers. We would rather give our money to entertainers who can take us out of what we're feeling and distract us from that boredom than actually sit in it. And of course, I love entertainment. I love all that kind of stuff in its own way, but used in an unconscious manner isn't going to serve us. So to your question, it's the time that we spend on our own. Do you really like the company that you keep when you're on your own? And how do you get to the place where you do like it? Well, one, you have to sit there for a little bit and get vulnerable and connect with people. There's a lot of magic and healing that happens in all of that.
Wow, Tom.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You've left me sort of deeply inspired, lightly gobsmacked, and just a little attacked. But just a little.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, I am so glad you are doing in the world what you are doing. The people that get the honor to be able to spend some time with you and Inner Guide, it's that's a real honor. I'm sitting here since 10 minutes into this conversation. I'm sitting here going, how can I put together a family trip? what do we do? How can we? Who do I put on? What can we do? How can this work?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm looking at fundraisers and stuff. I'm like, well, how can we hire to take us out into the woods? Come on, man, take us out into the woods. Make life better right now.
We can do that. We can
all
do that. I would
Thank
be
you.
deeply honored and stoked to do that with y'all.
Yeah, I think that's officially on the docket now. We'll see if we can't make that
Yeah.
make that work. That I'm sitting here crying about the possibilities, but yeah, I think that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right. I do want to honor your time. I know that we asked for this little bit of time, and that my understanding is you need to scoot on to your next gig.
I do. I get to bring a bunch of high schoolers to go surfing on the coast this weekend.
Rough life.
It's work. It's work.
No, surely.
Good on you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, thank you for having me on. I feel really honored for the ask, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying yes, and you're always free to say no, but I can almost guarantee that I'm going to want to tap you on the shoulder again in a few weeks or a few months to get you back on here and put you sort of head to head with some other lovely thought-provoking individuals and see what kind of things we can bounce off of each other. The things that I heard here, I'm still digesting. I can't wait to just sit and watch this through again. Which, as an editor, I am often at the end of an interview, the last thing I want to do is go listen to the recording of it. And this one, I can't wait to get back to play it up and listen to this again. Thank you so much for showing up. Really honor what you do, and thank you for doing it.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thanks. Tom Shelstad, Inner Guide Expeditions. InnerGuideExpeditions.com, is that right? Is that how
That's
people find you? InnerGuideExpeditions.com. Give Tom a call. He'll just go ahead and change your life, and that owes for your children and people around you. Just, I'll lark some given weekend.
Like a wink and a smile.
Thank you, Tom.
Awesome. Enjoy your trip, Tom. We'll see you soon,
Thank you.
hopefully.
Sounds great.
Blessings, Will.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks
Bye-bye.
again. You're amazing.
No, you.